Robert Smith is here from The Cure, but on his own without a guitar or anything like that anyway. So well, we can always talk and play the record, I suppose. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Who's not here then?
Simon, well, I'm early.
Oh, you're early.
This is a first for me. Ever. I've never been early before.
Well, it works out quite well, because Gurinder Chadha, the movie director we were expecting to speak to, seems to have disappeared.
Yeah.
So, unless you...
We obviously got the cars mixed up. She must have got in my car.
Oh, OK, well, maybe it's that. So unless you can pretend to be a Bollywood director who's just done Bride and Prejudice...
I think that's going to stretch me just too far.
We can talk about The Cure then, and past and present. I was just struck, actually, just listening to our little bit of BBC promotion there for Six Music. What was the music that they used behind it? Well, it was some of your music.
Yeah. Just like heaven, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you should know.
Yeah, I should.
And they've done a Cure Day. So this is because there's been like virtually a quarter of a century of The Cure, which is a fantastic thing to achieve. And there must have been times when you weren't expecting to get to 25 years.
Most of the time, actually. I haven't been expecting to get to a 25th anniversary. Yeah, it's strange, actually, because this year it marks the 25th anniversary of the first album release, and it's been re-released, I think, in about a month's time. And so it's kind of been pushed in my face a little bit. I wasn't really aware of how long we'd been doing it up until this year. It's kind of a bit of a shock. And have you actually been doing it all that time? Were there times where you just ceased to exist for a year just because it was convenient, or you weren't getting on with each other anyway? You just didn't announce that the band weren't doing it? Well, there have been a few years, I suppose. Fallow years. Yeah, that it's quiet years, I'd say. I mean, there's always stuff going on. I mean, even in years when we're not playing, which is very, very rare, but there's probably only been like 3 years out of the 25 when we haven't played at least a live show. So there's always stuff going on, like compilations and greatest hits and all that kind of stuff, you know. I mean, in the last, before we just did this last record, I've actually been compiling extras discs for the whole of the back catalogue in order that when it's remastered, it actually comes out with other stuff that's never seen the light of day before. So last year we didn't release anything, didn't really do that much, but I was actually working on things. So. It's sort of essential, isn't it, if a box set or a greatest hits or some kind of compilation comes out, to have extras, to have those tracks. Sometimes when you listen to those extra tracks, you can hear there's a jolly good reason that they weren't included in the first place. Almost always. And that's because they're rubbish. Yeah. So the stuff that you found that wasn't included, is it up to scratch? Well, I was very adamant that when the albums are re-released, remastered and re-released, that the extra tracks don't accompany the albums themselves on the disc. There is an extras disc, which I think is crucial. I hate albums that come out and you hear the last track and you go to reach for the remote, or you get up to take the CD out and some horrible crappy B-side comes on and destroys the mood. So the extras disc, I mean, it has historic value. Some of it's kind of darkly humorous, particularly, I mean, the first disc is obviously the first one people are going to hear. It comes out with Three Imaginary Boys. Is a mixture of live stuff, some of which is pretty good, actually, for the time. I mean, it's all of its time. The unreleased studio stuff, like you say, is unreleased for a reason. Even then, I knew it wasn't up to scratch, you know. And luckily, I had the kind of like the intelligence, I suppose, to hold my ground, because I think a lot of it would have been released otherwise. At the time, I was kind of concerned that we would be judged on that, you know, one album under our belt, and if there was going to be like duff tracks in it, I thought, well, this is it, it'll be the end. But 25 years later, you kind of think, well, it's not really going to make that much difference if people hear how rubbish we were when we started. It gives hope to other bands, I think, to see, you know, we were as bad as everyone else. Well, and when's that going to see the light of day? This it's November's the first one, and then I think they're probably going to come out in kind of 3 at a time over the next 18 months or so. Robert Smith is here, and we'll bring you some Cure music either on CD or live, depending on who turns up and when they turn up and whether the right sort of mic fits into the right socket, frankly. So more with Robert Smith to come, and if you have any questions, mayo@bbc.co.uk. Who's your friend here then? This is Jason, our drummer. Yeah, we were going to reduced to tambourine. All right, Jason? Yeah, all right. If it had been a really long race, we could have probably set up a drum kit, but... Okay, what are you going to do, sir? Well, I was going to do Taking Off with Simon, but I can't do that on my own, really, because it would sound stupid, so I'll do Boys Don't Cry instead. Okay. Live music, then, is Robert Smith and a tambourine. I would say I'm sorry if I thought that it would change your mind, but I know that this time I have said too much, been too unkind. I try to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I try to laugh about it, hiding the tears in my eyes. 'Cause boys don't cry. Boys, don't cry. I will break down at your feet and beg forgiveness, plead with you. But I know that it's too late and now there's nothing I can do. So I try to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I try to laugh about it, hiding the tears in my eyes. 'Cause boys, don't cry. Boys, don't cry. I would tell you that I loved you if I thought that you would stay. But I know that it's no use, that you've already gone away. Misjudged your limit, I pushed you too far, took you for granted. I thought that you needed me more. Now I would do most anything to get you back by my side. But I just keep on laughing, hiding the tears in my eyes. 'Cause boys, don't cry. Boys, don't cry. Boys, don't cry. That's why we don't do sound checks during horse racing normally.
Well, with a 90-second sound check, Robert, that was fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. So now, look, Robert Smith is here, and hope you can hang around.
Yep.
Yeah, more with Robert Smith in just a moment. So, and your questions are welcome. Mayo at bbc.co.uk. Robert Smith is still here, and he's already sung live, and he doesn't want to do that again, do you? Some emails and texts here. Someone claiming to be Marco Ramone, that's what he's calling himself anyway, in Truro. Is it true that The Top was recorded at the wrong speed?
What, the track itself or the whole album?
Well, I'm imagining you mean
I probably
just
would
the
have
track.
guessed if it was the whole album. The track itself, no, not as far as I'm aware. No.
Judith says, Cure in Portsmouth, Guildhall, early 90s, probably the best ever gig. Lee says, Simon, can you ask Mr. Smith, is it actual comb and tracing paper on the opening of Close to Me?
It is actually, yeah. Well spotted. One of my premier instruments.
It's fantastically useful and flexible musical accompaniment.
Particularly for me.
Bob in Huddersfield, I love listening to The Cure and have just recently rebought Head on the Door as our tape copy died. I'd like to say how disappointed I've always been that I went to see them at Wembley Arena in the early 90s at their supposed last ever gig, and then they carried on. I went to see them at their supposed last ever gig. Doesn't quite have the same impact when you tell people. But I'm actually glad they carried on, really, though.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it worked then. Yeah.
So how many last ever gigs have you done?
Well, every single time we go on stage, I tell the others, treat it like the last ever gig we'll do, because you never know. I hate the notion of going on stage thinking that you're going to do another show the following day. It seems to me quite ludicrous, really. You should treat every day as if it's going to be the last
But
day.
if there's a tour T-shirt that says, Portsmouth, Guildford, Edinburgh, Belfast...
But we did do a tour where we ended it prematurely, because Simon went home and I went home, and that was it. It was all over. We didn't, the tour T-shirt said we were going to be playing another couple of weeks. So things happen sometimes. It's more for the sake of, mentally you go on stage and you think, well, everything is going to go into the show as if it's the last show we ever do. So it's, at some point it will be. So if you keep going, you're bound to be able to say to someone, I was there.
Eventually, I wonder how many gigs you're going to have to go to before you get to that final experience. The current album was extraordinarily well received. Where did it get to in America?
It was top 10.
I saw it when it was number 7.
Yeah, I think that was it probably. Generally, they go in at their highest point and then they drop.
And Morrissey had a fantastically successful album as well. Were you surprised at?
Did he?
How high you went in? Not as successful as yours, but it was in the chart.
Morrissey? Who's he?
Your friend.
Yeah. No, I don't really pay much attention to chart places. I'm not being funny, but I was very well aware that it was received in this country by the media, and much better than anything we've done for a long time. But generally speaking, around the world, I mean, the Cure fan base is kind of stayed pretty constant. So it's more how we're received when we play the live shows actually that concerns me, because you can never second guess how people are whether they're going to like an album or not. I mean, we make the albums for the reasons that we make them. Obviously, you want people to like them, but it's not really going to dent my self-confidence if people tell me it's no good.
But I think the interesting fact is that even if, as you say, you don't take a lot of interest in chart placings, that for a band who've been around nearly 25 years, for them still to be making hit records with their new material as opposed to greatest hits is still fairly extraordinary.
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing actually about us is the fact that our audience is really young. I mean, whenever anyone comes to see the Cure for the first time, or a journalist will turn up who's kind of been forced to come and see us, the first thing they say is like, "I can't believe how young your audience is," which is, for a band of our age, and we're all apart from Jason, we're in our mid-40s. It's the audience is kind of, probably the average age is like early 20s, maybe even younger than that. So it's so
why is that? Are you getting on the right radio stations, or?
I think we've always been perceived as slightly outside of what's going on. We've been lucky in that respect. I mean, I've liked it. We've been commercially successful, to a greater or lesser degree over the years, but we've always managed to stay slightly kind of other, which has served us very well. So we're not kind of constrained by fashion or style or what's in or what's out. So that's why I don't really pay much attention to the general sort of media reaction.
Maybe that's a very nice place to be, being sort of slightly outside of...
Slightly odd.
Yeah, well, if you're slightly out of the mainstream, sooner or later the mainstream's going to come in your direction, and you'll find yourself. I mean,
it did really. It did in a way in the late 80s and mid to late 80s and early 90s. That was kind of like the peak of our commercial success. But I mean, it's kind of swung back again a little bit for us. I mean, it's in this country though. That's the strange thing that I have to keep reminding myself. It's this is a UK perspective, because really, say like in France or any other European country, or pretty much anywhere else around the world, this idea that the Cure kind of coming back from somewhere isn't there, because we've always kind of been around. So it's not quite as fickle as this country. It's not quite as driven by style and trend and
The next tour? Well, okay, maybe that's the wrong question. Bear in mind our previous conversation. Your next one-off appearance, which might be your last ever.
Honestly, I haven't planned anything beyond this Christmas. The last thing we've got in mind is probably we'll be doing something in London in December, and that's it. I've refused to be drawn on anything post-Christmas, because we've been at it since last December, and I feel I need to build in a kind of a reasonable break.
Why don't we play a little bit of your record now, actually? Because you said you wanted to play an old one, so we'll play the new one. I think we've got the. You introduce it, Robert. And
what are we playing then? I've no idea.
The new single.
Taking Off. I think it's going to be the next single in the UK.
Well, you should know, sir.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, they keep changing it on me. I think it's definitely going to be that then. Definitely, maybe. Taking Off.
Okay, here's a bit of it then. Robert Smith splendidly confused as to what his next single is going to be, but I'm assured that that's what it is going to be.
Yeah, no, that is. I'm just going through it. There are a couple of options, and we've made a couple of videos, and things have been a bit hectic in the last few days, so that's definitely the single. Yeah.
Taking Off from The Cure, which is the next record. Just one more point, Robert, from you while you're here. We go to Texas next week, doing the programme from Texas all week. On the basis that, I'm glad you said that, I won't be trying that too much next week, on the basis that to understand George W. Bush, you have to understand Texas. And as you know, there's a whole bunch of bands playing fairly shortly in America on the basis that they want to get the vote out, and they're doing it in the swing states, and they are basically saying vote for Kerry. Do you think music can be that important and that significant? And if you were there, and if you were asked, would you have joined in?
Well, we had some Rock the Vote presence at our concerts that we've been doing through the summer in America. I think it's important that people get out there and vote, but I don't really, in my heart, think it makes any difference, because just reading the American media and being aware of it when we were over there, the people that are involved in that are just getting a backlash from the Republican Party and the kind of the more right-wing element in American media, and the left are going, yeah, great. So it just polarises things even more. I think it doesn't really make that much difference. But I don't think it's not actually very fair, because there's an awful lot of people in Texas who aren't like George Bush. Most of the people we meet are nothing like George Bush.
Maybe the kind of people that go to Cure concerts aren't... this is a huge generalisation. Maybe most of the people who come to Cure concerts aren't natural George Bush heartland
voters.
Yes,
I suspect that most of the people that go to most of the concerts and most of the people that are playing and that get out there and vote campaign aren't natural Republicans either. That's my point.
So they're preaching to the converted.
Well, it's like, you know, it just as a very, very obvious example, like what happened to the Dixie Chicks, and you know, they suddenly don't get played on country radio, and it's that kind of divisive over there at the moment, and it's pretty absurd actually, and quite scary.
Yeah. Robert, thanks very much indeed for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.